Latinos are the most racist. What's up, guys? It's been a while since I dropped the video. I've been having some mishaps in the place, as you can see back there. There was a lot going on. I'm not in my normal spot, but we got to get this content done. We got to get this out there for you guys. So here I am back again. So I did a video recently about anti-blackness within Hispanic communities, right? That video did pretty well. So I want to keep expanding on that topic. And I have this video here about Latinos being the most racist, right? Let's figure out what he means by this. Let's dive into this.
Why do black people in Latin American countries have to insert the word Afro and then the country in which they're from? But white people don't have to say Euro Honduran, Euro Mexican, Euro Colombian.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see.
Yeah, because it's always, oh, soy Afro Latino, soy Afro Latino, Afro this. Me myself, yo soy hondureño, Afro hondureño, Afro whatever. Like, but you never hear a Latino who is white passing say, oh, I'm Euro Honduran, I'm Euro. You know what I mean? This, that, and the third. But when they're dark skinned, when we're dark skinned, we always have to add the Afro. When we're people of color, we always have to add Afro, as if there's a differentiation that makes us less Latino. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, why do we have to, like, and I get it, because when people look at me, they don't see a Spanish dude. The normal image of us Hispanic is lighter complexion, either brown more so, less than a black person, or a lighter skin. That's what people associate with being Latino, with being Hispanic. And then you get someone like myself who has very strong African features. I'm a mix of Arawak indigenous and West African with a little bit of European in there. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But I'm black. You can see it. You can see the African DNA that runs through my blood. You understand? But that doesn't diminish my Hispanic ethnicity. Todavía soy Latino. Hablo el idioma. Lo entiendo. I can't speak it to the fucking amazing degree, but I understand the language. I can speak it. I can communicate. We can converse in Spanish. I talk to my grandma who only speaks in Spanish. My grandma doesn't speak a lick of English. Cuando estoy hablando con ella, necesito hablar español. It just is what it is. I have to. She don't understand English. I have to talk to her in Spanish. But when you have skin like mine, when you're a darker skinned person, for whatever reason, you have to prove that you're Hispanic a bit more. Why is that? I like where this conversation is going. Let's keep it pushing.
See what you say.
What happened to us is that even where we're at, who adopted us to come into the country, label us, okay? We were not under Honduras for so many years. We got 240 years.
Now, I have to do my own research. From what I know, anyone in Honduras who looks like me, right, who's black, for the majority's sake, we're usually Garifuna. Most people. Now, I might be wrong. I genuinely might be wrong. There might be darker skinned people who have no Garifuna ancestry running within them, but they are in Honduras or whatever other Spanish speaking country. But I know Honduras specifically, that's where we landed, especially if we're around Roatan area, and we're in Tela, San Juan, Tornave, places like that is where we're like, concentrated.
There's right now that we have become under the Honduran government. They always left us out. We didn't know what we were nor who we are. They were calling us.
I don't like that. Let me run it back a little bit, but I don't like that, because we know who we are. We knew who we are. We fought off the British and the French for 150 years. We are Garifuna. We know exactly who the fuck we are. We know that we descend from West Africans. We know that we mixed with Arawak native Caribs in St. Vincent. We know that we became Garifuna and we fought these European colonizers and maintained our culture, our food, our dance, our language, all of that. So I don't like that take unless I'm incorrect with my assumption that most people who are black in Honduras are Garifuna. If I am miscorrect with that statement, then it would make sense. I don't know, that I'm just speaking for Garifuna people. That's what I'm speaking for. I have to do more research on Honduras and other people of color who are out there and where they may, originate from. I'm sure it's we'll get there. Let's keep it going.
We were nor who we are. They were calling us Africans. We did not know we were called African. They labeled us African.
The Europeans went all over the world and did label people. They were like, "Oh, you're Indians. You're West Indians. You're Caribs. You're Africans. And they did this. This is true. The European colonization played a major factor into why we categorize things and the terms that are made for certain things today. That's where it originates from.
Okay, so then for us, we're Afro-Honduran because this is the easiest way out. Because I'm telling you, it is a way out. It's not
A way out of what?
For us in Latin America, we are still wondering who we are, what we are, where we're from.
I don't like this. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I'll be real. Because you know where you come from. At the end of the day, if your people are not indigenous to this land and you are, black of, African heritage, you know where you come from. Maybe I'm being a bit presumptuous here, but let me hear what she has to say. Let me hear.
Because even here, I'm telling you from my experience, even here, once I say I'm from Honduras, everybody steps back and take a breath. One time I said the word to one of my employees, and I said this word. I said, "We Negroes, we need to step up and get the things done." And she went to the bathroom and cried and reported me. When the investigation came, they didn't know that I was black because she said I was Latina.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. The differentiation between a white passing Latino and a black Latino. They don't have to mention I'm Euro Dominican, I'm Euro Latino. Like, no, they're just Latino, right? Why can't it be the same for me? I'm black, pero soy Latino. I am Latino. I shouldn't have to say I'm Afro-Latino. Like, what's the difference? What is the difference? At the end of the day, being Hispanic is not a race, it's an ethnicity, okay? I grew up with my mom listening to salsa in the house. Every Saturday, if you wake up and there's merengue playing in the crib, you about to clean this whole crib and it's about to, you know what I mean? Like, that's just what time it was. Bachata, merengue, salsa, all of that playing all through the crib. My mom watching Caso Cerrado. Like, this is my upbringing. I grew up in a Hispanic household. But at the end of the day, I am a black man. I shouldn't have to say I'm Afro-Latino to substantiate that I'm Hispanic or to prove to you and validate to you that I'm Hispanic. But this is the thing. Whenever people associate Latinos, they associate that to lighter skin. That's just the reality of the social climate of how people see certain things. So I understand where she's coming from because I've also been, reacted to in that way. When people see me, they don't see a Hispanic dude. Automatically, I'm black, right? Especially growing up in Brooklyn, they just think I'm African American. And I love my African American brothers and sisters. Like, I grew up in Brooklyn, so I grew up all around black people, Hispanic people, etc. But people always bunched me in prior to knowing who I am and where I come from as just being regular black American. And then when I were to, let's say, speak Spanish, or they find out my last name, which is a very Hispanic last name, they are all of a sudden like, "Oh, where are you from?" I say Honduras, and they look at me like I got 3 heads. They look at me like, "Whoa, what, really? Why is it so surprising? What is so surprising about it?" You do realize we were scattered all over. There were multiple different pit stops before black people got to the Americas, right? You realize that, right? My people just happened to shipwreck in St. Vincent, but there were stops at Haiti, Puerto Rico, Jamaica. A lot of black people just being let off the boats. You feel me? Some of them didn't get to America. Why is it so surprising that we're scattered all over the world and we have different ways of being, not just one set in stone black? This is what you are, black. But it speaks volumes as to the climate of things today. So
in the other people's mind, I was your type of Latina. I was not Black. And they were looking for me with this name and a Latina. When I said, I am this name, hey, what is this complaint about? I said, that's my question. So you tell me, who am I? When I get here, who am I? When I'm over there, who am I? I do not know. I know who I am. Me personally, now I know who I am.
Okay.
I love myself. I love where I'm coming from. I teach my kids to love themselves, to be who they are.
Fire.
But I'm still labeled.
You can't escape being labeled.
My mom has told me so many stories like that where, you know, she came here from Honduras when she was 15, 16, you know? And when she got here, I guess there wasn't as much of a Hispanic presence. Like when my mom got here, they moved straight to East New York. You know what I mean? Like that's where they could get a crib that was decent. So when my mom got there, she just blended in with all of the Black people because she's Black. She's very light skinned. My mom is very fair skinned, but she looks like a Black woman, right? But people would be surprised. She went to Thomas Jefferson High School and everything, and she told me people would be so surprised because she ain't speak no English. You know what I mean? She ain't speak no English at all. And everybody's just looking at her like, you know what I mean? Like, speaking Spanish, what? Like, it's so foreign to people that you can be Black and speak languages other than English, especially if you're living within the United States. It's such a surprise, which is crazy to me. I don't understand how it's so surprising. There's Black people who speak Mandarin. There's Black people who speak Spanish. There's Black people who speak Portuguese. There's like, why is it so, you know what I mean? Like, the fuck? That shit is weird to me. I don't know. It's very strange. It's very strange. But yeah, people will never assume that we're Hispanic.
Worked in a store here, and they would be in line, and I would be, you know, like having a conversation with the client that's in front of you at the moment. And you can hear the Latinos behind saying, ¿y esta negra qué? ¿Y esta negra qué le pasó? ¿Y esta negra por qué no se apura? ¿Y esta negra esto? ¿Y esta negra lo otro?
Yeah, they be thinking we don't understand. I don't mean to keep pausing this video. I'm sorry, guys, but that be the craziest shit when you have Hispanic people talking shit in Spanish about you, not knowing you speak Spanish. And then when you turn around and you like, hey, mira, primo, entendí todo que me dijiste. Entendí todo que dijiste. Okay, si quieres hablar mierda, you could say it in English. They face be just full of shock. Because, oh my God, a Black person speaks Spanish? Ay, Dios, no sabía. I didn't know. Bro, it's 2026, my nigga. Like, fuck is we talking about, bro? How is it so surprising to you that Black people come in different ethnicities? We can speak Spanish, we can speak this, that, and the third. Like, we're not just subjugated to whatever box you're trying to put us in. How is it such a newfound concept to you? That should be crazy. So for you to have the balls to be talking shit about people in a different language, thinking that they don't understand, and then when you feel me, we pull your card and you find out we do understand everything you saying, now you got all this regret on your face. But you felt real comfortable talking shit about this Black woman or this Black man in Spanish, not understanding que nosotros lo podemos hablar también. We understand you, nigga. Like, that's crazy to me. But yeah, that's a reality, bro. That's a reality. And this touches on my video when I spoke about anti-Blackness in Hispanic communities. Because they swear up and down, you can't be my color and speak Spanish. And they always have these prejudiced thoughts. And it's not all Hispanic people. Let me say that right now. I know a lot of amazing Hispanic people. I myself am Hispanic. I love my community. But there is anti-Blackness in a lot of our people. Okay? It's ingrained and it's fucked up. And it's what really gets me is that they don't want to be associated. They could look like me, but they don't want to be associated to Black American because they fall for the propaganda that's been fed the brainwashing that's been fed to Americans for the longest about Black Americans. So when they come here from other countries and they just happen to look like me, whether they're Hispanic or not, because some Africans do it, whether they're Nigerian or that, you know what time it is. We know what I'm talking about. They'll come here and they assimilate to white American culture and look down on the people that gave them the rights to have the life that they live in the United States now. If it wasn't for Black Americans, you wouldn't be able to vote, nigga. If it wasn't for Black Americans, you wouldn't have the freedoms that you currently have. It's Black struggle that built this country into what it is now. So how do you come here from other countries and have all this bullshit to say about Black people when you get here? How does that make sense? You wouldn't even be able to be here living the life you live without the sacrifices Black Americans have made, whether for civil rights, the right to vote, etc.
When they get to you, that they get to me, and I would say, buenas tardes, ¿cómo está? Where did you learn Spanish? Who teach you Spanish? I said, I'm Hispanic. And I would ask, where are you from? I'm from here. And I go like, here where? Well, my mother came from Mexico and my dad, I'm from here. I said, okay, well, I am from here too. But I consider myself Latin American. But what part of Latin American? I'm from Honduras. Yo soy de México y las latinas no hablan como ti ni se parecen a ti. Es que tú solo conoces una parte de latino.
Solo conoces una parte de latino. You don't realize Latinos can come in many shades and colors, which is crazy because do research, for me, learn history, and it'll make perfect sense to you as to why Latinos can come in many different shades and colors, okay? They can be extremely fair-skinned, they can be extremely white passing, or they can look just as dark as me or darker. Like, what's the confusion? Huh? Riddle me that. How's it so surprising that people come in many shades and colors, they can still be Hispanic, they can still be Latino? Explícame. I need to understand.
America also lo ha visto. So, us in between Latin America, we discriminate ourselves. We do not accept each other. And I'm telling you why. They labeled us. They labeled us. We did not label ourselves.
Before you shared that experience with me, you said, please don't get offended because it's not a personal attack. On the contrary, I'm glad that you shared that because when I do lives, a lot of times that's my point. And that's why a lot of Mexican people don't like me because I point out the fact that Mexico in general is very racist towards Black people.
Which is crazy. I find that very intriguing because when slavery was still going on in the United States before it was abolished, quote unquote abolished, 13th Amendment, but that's a different discussion. Before slavery was abolished, right? A lot of runaway slaves ran to Mexico and they were protected in Mexico. When the U.S. would tell Mexico, hey, we got some runaway slaves that crossed the border, you need to bring them back, Mexico was like, nah, it's slow for that. It's slow for that. Nah, we good. Even one of the presidents of Mexico was Black. Like, so to know that now in 2026, the big 2026, that there are a lot of Mexicans, we're just talking about because he's Mexican, that's why he's talking about that, right? But it's a Hispanic community thing in general. But to know that Mexicans, after giving Black people refuge in Mexico, whenever they were able to cross the border and get out of slavery, they protected us. To know that it went from that to Mexicans, not all, but a good amount, having this anti-Black sentiment and being very racist and prejudiced towards Black people, it's crazy because there's a huge Black presence in Mexico as well.
I always point that out. I have a couple of TikTok videos pointing out how racist Mexicans in general tend to be towards Black people. So much so that Afro-Mexicans didn't exist until social media. Meaning Black people have been in Mexico since white people were there. But yet you would have never known because Mexico makes the effort to hide them, to hide the fact that there's Black people in Mexico because Mexico is only okay with the image of Mexico being white, rubio.
Mm-hmm.
That's the effort that Mexico makes. That's how racist Mexico is systemically. Is that ellos quieren que la imagen de México sea un blanquito o blanquita. Es lo que ellos quieren. Even I don't fit the criteria anymore as a Mexican anymore. When people generally tend to think of a Mexican, yes, they think of someone that looks like me. But systemically, Mexico doesn't want this face to be what represents Mexico anymore. They want the rubio, the
whiteness, yeah,
man and white woman to be.
Because they have this infatuation, this obsession with whiteness. What the fuck is this shit? Like, I can understand if to a degree, you know, cool, I love myself as a black person, as a Mexican, Hispanic, this, that, da, and I appreciate whiteness. You know, I think white women are beautiful. Whatever your rhetoric is, I'd understand it to an extent, to a certain degree. But it's drawn out, it's dragged out to the point where it's just anti-black and hype up whiteness. Necesitamos hacer whatever necessary to make us whiter. And that's a regular thing in a lot of Hispanic communities. I'm like, what the fuck? What is your obsession with whiteness? What is your infatuation with whiteness? That shit is crazy to me. And it's like, cool, if that's your vibe, that's your vibe. But then at the same time, you talk down on blackness. So it's this ingrained self-hatred. Because how do you say, I love myself, my Hispanic self, but you don't love that there's darker people in your Hispanic, you know what I mean, community? That's self-hatred at its finest. I can't say I love all my people, but no, only the lighter skinned ones. Only the ones who are white passing. What type of rhetoric is that?
So if Mexico doesn't even want to represent the indigenous, the brown man, how do you think, well, of course, you know, I'm not asking you, but
No. And I understand where you're going.
Generally speaking, how do you think they're going to treat the black man and the black woman of Mexico? The Mexican who is black.
Yeah.
Ellos no quieren, por la misma razón that you see posters of white people of Mexico, Orgullo Mexicano. But you'll never, and you have never seen a poster of a black man of Mexico or a black woman of Mexico, Orgullo Mexicano. There is no such thing as Orgullo Mexicano as a black person in Mexico. But yet, black people have been there just as long as white people in Mexico. But you have never seen in the history of Mexico Orgullo Mexicano y que sea un negro o una negra. You just haven't seen it. That says everything about what Mexico systemically does. So I'm listening to your experience and your input, and it hurts. It doesn't hurt my feelings because a black person is telling me this. It hurts that this is the truth.
Yeah.
It's realistic, and it's hard for us as Afros to walk around, and we have to be all the time evaluating ourselves and
proving ourselves. We have to prove. Yo tengo que, how do I make this? Like, I have to prove to you que soy hispano. Porque cuando me ven, you don't see a Hispanic person. You see a black guy. So I have to go the extra mile to prove that I'm Hispanic.
Dating ourselves and putting ourselves extra out there. I went to a job, I was working, and most of my supervisors were Mexican. I did not tell them when I first came in, I can speak Spanish. And I'm a hard worker. My God, they crippled me. They were like, who does she think she are? She goes to break and she come back. They assume I was from Belize. Because my accent doesn't show that I speak Spanish. It shows I'm Caribbean. It shows I have an accent, but it doesn't show that I speak Spanish. But the part that I get mostly upset is when the Honduran themselves, that I would tell them, yo soy de Honduras. And they would go,
¿Qué?
Honduras. The same thing happens with the Mexican that I have had friends that I would go with other friends and I would see them and I would go, and so where are you descended from? No, yo lo que pasa es que yo soy del grupo que le dicen los güeros. And I would go like, oh my God, this is So crazy.
Honestly, guys, I might do a part 2. Let me know if you guys want me to do a part 2. This video is getting past the 30-minute mark, right? But I think we spoke about a lot already. I think it's a very interesting topic to discuss because it's a reality. As a Black man with Hispanic ethnicity and heritage, I see a lot. Okay, I've heard a lot because, like I said, people don't think I'm Hispanic when they meet me. So you have those people who, you know, and especially because I am embedded in Black culture. I'm a Black man and I grew up in Brooklyn, so I'm embedded in Black culture. But I'm Hispanic and I don't ever denounce it. I don't ever deny it. Soy Latino and I love it. I was just making sure my daughter today at school, you know, I was telling her teacher, hey, make sure she's speaking Spanish. Teach her how to speak Spanish, right? Make sure that she's learning another language so she's bilingual and she loves both her Blackness and her Hispanic heritage. You know, I want her to realize she is Latina, not Afro-Latina. No, you are a Latina. You're a Black woman, but you're Latina as well. And I'm not mad at Afro-Latina because I understand we're embracing the African part of us and the Latino part of us. So there's a part of me that is completely happy with that term. But my issue with it is that there's no counteractive term for that. There's no rebuttal to that. Like, I'm Euro Latino, you know, like why does that not exist? But Afro Latino has to exist. That's my whole point. We have to go above the, you know, beyond to prove our Hispanic and you know, like that we're Latino. Why is that? You know, the standard look of a Hispanic isn't me. So when I come out and I speak Spanish, people look at me like they just discovered fire. It's crazy. It's a very interesting reality, honestly. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Comment down below. Let's have a real life discussion about everything I spoke about. I spoke about a lot. And yeah, let me know if you guys want me to do a part 2. I'm more than happy to do so. All right. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.